Hey everyone, welcome back to Adobe Live. Hi Carmen.
Hey Arabella.
How's it
Hello,
going?
everybody. Good. How are you doing today?
Doing well. It's looking a lot better now, not as smoky over here in California. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're so excited to be having day 2 of this photo editing stream with Carmen.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun yesterday. Unfortunately, we got cut off because we were just so excited about
Yes, I couldn't
doing the
stop
work.
photoshopping.
But don't worry, we'll give Carmen a proper send off this time.
Thank you.
But we have so much going on today. But just we have to do a little bit of housekeeping as usual. So if we can take a look at the schedule, that would be awesome. So we had Brandon for getting started in Adobe XD at 7:30 a.m. We had Jesus give us another Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge just before us. Make sure to join in on that and head over to Discord for the community portion of that. Even though we're doing something a little bit different today, we're doing portfolio reviews, but I'll talk about that in a second. We've got Carmen until about 11:30. Paul Tron is giving another Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge at 11:30. And we have Mercedes for editorial design at noon, Andrea Epi for the XD Daily Creative Challenge at 2 p.m., Kyle T. Webster for a draw along at 2:30 p.m., and Buduvel and Anna Davis Court for a design off at 3 p.m. So lots of things going on. Have this on in the background because you can learn so much even just from hearing or having, as you're working. Adobe Live is a great resource, educational resource where you can just gain a lot of tips and knowledge from other creatives. And so, yeah, well, we're so excited to have you here again, Carmen. You shared a lot of really great tips and a lot of your process yesterday, and that was really fun. But yeah, we'd love to know a little bit more. I know you're in LA, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
And yeah, for anybody who is just joining us, we would love to hear a little bit about you and a little bit more. Maybe we can pull up your work as well.
Yeah, sure. So I am a Los Angeles-based photographer, and I work in the editorial and commercial spaces, so shooting for magazines and newspapers like the New York Times, the Washington Post, Serial Magazine, and then I also work in the commercial space, shooting like branded stuff, advertising. This is my Instagram, so you can see a little preview of my work and some behind the scenes.
Love it. Your work is so like clean and minimal, and just like I love the way that you play with light and shadow and all that stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, and I recently self-published a book featuring female artists. So these are some like studio visit photos with them. Definitely my favorite thing is studio visits with artists. I'm just fascinated by their process and how someone, how their experience inspires them to create what they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, people describe my work as clean, minimal. I think like my personality definitely translates to my work, where like I'm pretty mellow and chill, and so I think my work evokes the same feeling.
You have a lot of neutrals too.
Neutral, desaturated, calm, lots of room to breathe.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a great description.
And then yeah, definitely noticing light. And someone asked yesterday if I shoot all natural light, which I don't. I try to when I can, but whenever I go into a space, I kind of scope it out and see what the natural light is like, and depending on what I have to deliver, like this shot is of course natural light. But depending on what I have to deliver, I'll move into the space with a strobe, just in case, a strobe or two, so that I can supplement the natural light to get the results that I need.
Yeah, that's so lovely.
Yeah. So yesterday we were working on kind of a fashion portrait type shoot and editing that. And then today we'll be working on something a little bit different. It's still a part of the work that I do, which is travel shoot that I did for Serial magazine in Chicago, which was super fun.
So exciting.
So we spent a few days there, basically being a tourist and getting to see all the most beautiful sights. Yes.
That's so fun.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite clients, and again, their aesthetic, I guess, is
it's totally on brand with your vibe, and it totally makes sense. So
yeah,
awesome. Well, we're so excited. And of course, if you didn't get a chance to watch Carmen's stream yesterday, it is available for replay, so you can head on over if you wanted to watch that first. Just to get a sense of her process. But of course, we're going to be doing a lot of fun things today too. So just as a quick reminder too, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to head over to Behance, because you'll have access to our chat, and you'll be able to ask Carmen some questions, anything that you want to know about her process, or, or even running a creative business, like, all the things. So yeah, highly encourage you to come over to Behance so you have access to that. But yeah.
Feel free to ask any questions about.
Yeah, chime in the chat. I see some familiar faces already. Hi, Jane Eric. Hi, Harsh. Oh, Jen Eric says, I like Carmen's use of colors. Love that kind of pastel feed, which I think more like muted, if anything.
Yeah, desaturated.
Desaturated, yes.
Modern
and simple. Yeah, super awesome. Love it.
Cool. All right. So let's jump into Lightroom.
Let's do it.
So I'm in Lightroom Classic.
Okay.
And I am in the library panel, which I'm going to repeat all of the nice keyboard shortcuts that I was using, because I feel like I got a lot of feedback yesterday, and that was really helpful for people.
Yeah. So for anybody that's new, they can kind of, learn that as well.
For people who were here yesterday, a reminder.
Yeah.
So to access the library panel, you can hit keyboard shortcut G. And then you can use the tab key to hide the panels. And then you can use the plus and minus keys to enlarge and zoom out of the thumbnails.
Yes.
And then this is one that I use as well, J, which cycles through like what you see in the thumbnails. So just the rating, or the file names, or just the thumbnails. So that's really helpful too.
Yes. And if you watched yesterday's stream, let us know in the chat which keyboard shortcut was your fave, or like that you learned.
Yeah.
I really love the tab one that you mentioned, where it like removes the sides, because I think that's always like my problem. It's like, the images look a little bit smaller.
Yeah, you just always want more real estate, right? If you don't have the luxury of having like a second monitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, also I want to know if you guys have any keyboard shortcuts that you haven't seen me use, because maybe I don't know about them. So share with me too.
Yes, definitely. Christy says hello. She's in Maryland.
Hey, Christy.
Oh, hi everyone. Yeah, let us know where you're watching from. I'd love to hear. There's always like people from all over, so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, Elizabeth says love the keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah.
And hi.
Hi, Elizabeth. So yeah, let's go through and start some editing. Oh yeah, Jan said Shift Command C and Shift Command V was amazing.
Yeah.
So I'll show you guys how I use that later once I start editing. But Let's start with the culling first and selects of my favorites. So actually, I'm gonna start with. So what I do is. The way that I sort through my images is I rate them using the stars. There's also the flagging and unflagging, which I believe is P and U. Flag and unflag. For flag is P, unflag is U. But I use stars because I go through like rounds. So with the stars, you can either go down here and click, or of course keyboard shortcut is keys on the keyboard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 0 to remove them all.
Okay.
Super easy. So I have like one hand on the numbers and then the other hand on my like arrow keys, and I
Yeah,
just
to
go
like cycle
through.
through.
Mm-hmm. So I like this. I'm gonna one
Ooh.
star that. This is cool.
I
It looks
love that.
underexposed.
Well, that's so cool. Is that a parking lot?
Yeah, it's like a
Oh my God, I
parking
love
structure.
that.
See
That's
how much
super
we can
cool.
crank this up. Yeah, so cool. The pattern.
Wow. Yeah, the pattern, like this rounded kind of like
Mm-hmm.
shape.
This was one of my favorite shots from the whole the whole job actually, just because I got this cool
The
reflection
little
of the
light.
sun
Yeah,
bouncing off that right above the train,
that's
so it
so
draws your
cool.
eyes there. So I'm gonna actually 5-star that one because I know it's a favorite. So
Nice.
these are like alternate shots. I was riding a ferry. I don't know what maybe someone who's familiar with Chicago can tell me what the waterway
The
is called.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let us know. Um Mario, hi Mario from Philly. Harsh, hi Harsh from India. We've got someone from San Diego. Hi Julia. Hi
Hey, Julie.
Robbie. And
And
Anna.
Robbie. Yeah, they're my friends from New York.
Oh, they are. Oh, hi
I miss
friends.
them very much.
Oh, thanks for joining us. That's so
um,
sweet. I love when friends come on the chat.
I know.
That's so sweet.
Um,
Ooh,
yeah,
I love these
I was just
reflections.
So these were pretty much like I think I had more of these, but I was just like shooting as we were moving through on this
Mhm.
boat. So out of these, I think this one's definitely my favorite. I'm not even going to star these. Oh,
Yeah.
and then also, this was a shortcut where you can hold shift down to select multiple images,
Mhm.
and then you hit N to compare them. Actually, I'm going to close this
Nice.
too. And then I'm going to hit G again to go back to the library. And the way that I remember that G is for library is like it goes into the grid of thumbnails. So
Yes.
that might be helpful for some of you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm going to 1-star that.
I guess if you really want Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
What were you
I was
gonna
gonna
say?
say, I guess if you really wanted to, like you could always like adjust your hotkeys to what makes sense for you, right? Like you
Oh
can like
yeah, customize.
customize them if you wanted to.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool. I love that.
I think I'm gonna choose this one out of the three. So this is what I do too. If I have like very similar images, I'll select them
Yeah,
all and then compare them and then decide which one I want a 1-star.
yeah, that's good practice. Because then it doesn't feel as repetitive too.
Yeah, and you're not going like this one or this one, this one or this one. You can
Yeah,
just look at them all at once and see the differeces between
yeah,
them.
totally. Ooh, we've got
Um,
someone from Romania. Hi, Rosvin.
Whoa.
Hi, Eldon. Thanks for joining us. This is your first time. That's cool. Well, you're about to be in luck because Adobe Live is great and you're going to learn a lot. So I hope that you continue to watch all the streams because they're
Yeah,
really
thanks for
awesome.
coming, Eldon.
Hi, Chalet. That's awesome.
Here you can see the passengers on the boat.
Oh
So
my
I was trying to
gosh.
shoot wider. So with something like this, like I'll just crop them out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was loving like the reflections on all the windows of the sunset.
I love this like kind of different subject that you photograph. You know, it's like it's still very much like your style in the sense that there's like this architectural minimal element to it, you know, and that's neutral too. I mean, most buildings that we see are like gray or
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think it's interesting how I think typically in like professional photography world, like it's better to specialize and people want to know like what you're best at, and I agree with that, but I also I love travel photography and I have gotten commissioned for it a lot, and I don't know, I just think it's cool how your style, whatever that may be, can translate across multiple categories.
Totally.
But it is, I think it's still important to show that like strong work within those categories, because
Right.
it doesn't necessarily serve yourself or the client for them to be like unsure of what you're best at.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, me and my partner always say too, like, share your best work that like you'd want to be hired for. So if that means, architecture or travel photography and whatever, just make sure that it's like the best of your work. So Ooh, that's super cool.
Yeah, this was at the Art Institute in Chicago.
That's so cool. I think also like when you kind of dive into other types of photography, it can help influence and like almost like help the medium that you're in, or like the one, you know, that you do most, I guess. Like architecture can definitely influence, you know, other types of
Like
photography, or
portraiture or
like your other,
something.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And how you interact with space and light and lines and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So I think why not? You know, I think it's good to explore.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Mm-hmm. It's
Harsh
super
asks,
beautiful.
thank you. Harsh asks, while capturing a tall building, how do you avoid the distortion which is
Oh,
caused by the
mm-hmm.
lens? Because whenever I try to capture a tall building, there is lens distortion.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that there was distortion here
Mm-hmm.
because let me see. Because you're tilting up, so unless you're using a tilt shift lens or
Right.
you are high up in another building shooting straight
Mm-hmm.
across, you're gonna get distortion. And I was just gonna look at what, yeah, I'm shooting on the 50 millimeter. So actually that's less distortion than there would be if I was
Yeah.
shooting with a 35. And I don't own a tilt shift lens. Tilt shift? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I know a lot of full-time architectural photographers do, and that's how they solve it. But I don't own one. So when I shoot this sort of stuff, I use the perspective correction in Lightroom.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Hi, Polsta.
Oh. Yeah,
Um,
generic has a good point. You can try and shoot slightly wider and correct the keystoning in Lightroom Classic with the transform panel. That's true.
yeah. Thanks,
Good
Jan.
call. Elizabeth has a question. Do you have any advice about being interested in more than one medium, like photography, but also design or illustration? Is it better to focus on one type and have different portfolios for each?
That's a good question. I mean, I definitely like. I have a friend, Christina Choi, who studied graphic design, but she's also an incredible photographer. And I think from a client perspective, I think it's important to have separate portfolios
Mm-hmm.
because I think both can be super strong. But like as a client or maybe like as an agency, Arabella, you have this experience where like if you're looking to hire somebody,
Yes. Yeah.
you I think it
People
you
can
want
get
to
confused.
yes,
Clients can get
exactly.
confused. So I think you want to, I mean, I think they can all exist and live in the same page, but just have them separated so that people, you know, so it makes it easier for clients to look at and go to that section that they're going to be hiring you for so that they can, you know, kind of have a strong idea of what your thing is.
Yeah, yeah. I think the main thing is like when they land on your page,
Mm-hmm.
you want them to quickly
Yes.
know what it is that you offer. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's unclear, like if they're like, is she a photographer or a designer? And like you said, I think with you can create categories that way it's you can quickly
Yes.
tell. But
Mm-hmm.
if they can't tell, then they're not gonna know what they're hiring you for and then they're gonna
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah, totally. And I think like I don't think you know people should shy away from being in different mediums because again like we were talking about like you know they can very much influence the one or the one to the other and also I mean we're just like multifaceted people, you know, so like I think it's okay to be to do different things.
Hmm.
Like why not? It's part of exercising your creative brain.
Yeah. And I think especially now, there are so many resources available
Hmm.
where
Totally.
you can study many things. Like I recently
Yes.
started studying directing and cinematography and getting into more motion. I think
Ooh.
before that, I mean, even photography, I pretty much self-taught and learned on my own, learned through
Yeah.
doing.
Hmm.
So I think nowadays it's, one can support the other for sure. Like
Totally.
I know
Totally.
photographers who have a background in graphic design, and so all of their work is really, you can tell that there's a great consideration for composition and like scale and that sort of
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Ravon. That's so cool. He's watching from Japan. First time on
Whoa.
Behance. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you're over in Behance now. I mean, I'm assuming because you commented. Question from Jan Eric. Do you delete images in camera or do you postpone any culling until you are in Lightroom? Also, how do you deal with gaps in file name numbering because of this?
I rarely delete images in camera, and whenever I do, I actually sort of regret it because the occasions when I do is when I'm doing like a test shot or something, and I know that's not going to be used, like if I'm testing light. But usually someone wants to see how it looked, or I wanted to see how it looked, and then I had just like deleted it because I knew that wasn't going to work. So I rarely delete images in camera. Like I'll never edit a shoot in camera. And I can confidently say never, because that's just too risky for me. And I feel like the back of your camera, the screen is so small.
It's so small. You can't really judge, like, I don't know. And then the things that you think might not work, like once you see it on a bigger screen, like who knows? Like maybe you might end up cropping it in a certain way that makes sense, or like, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I feel like it makes sense to just kind of do it later.
Or if it's underexposed, you can bring it into Lightroom and see if it can be saved.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah. So, and then as far as how I deal with gaps in file name numbering because of in-camera deletion, actually, I don't really have a problem. I mean, the gaps in the file numbering definitely exist if you do that, but it doesn't bother me because
you end up making selects anyway, and it's all going to be out of
there's going to be huge gaps because there's going to be lots of selects images that I don't make selects of. But if it really bothers you and maybe you're OCD like that, then you can just rename everything after you import it into Lightroom. And I can show you for example.
Everyone in the chat's talking about cameras right now.
Yeah, so you can go here, go to library, and then you select all the images and then rename photos. And you can rename it however you want.
That's a quick, easy way.
And then you can go to edit here and you can like start the sequence over again.
Okay. Oh, that's a good tip. Just like in case you wanted to just clean it up, I guess.
But I typically just keep the camera counter on and let it run through, because for me it's easier to like only like if I need to find a file, I can just type in the last like here 6996. I'm not gonna I don't have that many images in my archive that are 6996.
Right.
So it's just another way to kind of ID the image. So I don't instead of having like multiple 001s.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, some people were talking about cameras. But Jan Eric had a really great comment. We're so lucky we live in a great time where any camera you can buy can deliver fantastic results, especially in good light.
Yes.
That's so true.
Even your iPhone, if you shoot with the Lightroom app.
Yes.
The
that can capture raw. I'm like, it's so fascinating.
Yeah. So if you go into the professional mode on your Lightroom app, and you can basically shoot manual with your iPhone. And then there's like a Adobe proprietary file format that is basically like raw. It's pretty impressive.
That is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So when I don't have like if I'm just shooting casually, but I know that it's something that I want to play with in Lightroom later and have more information, and control there, then I will go into the Lightroom app and use that camera instead of like the native camera on my iPhone.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. That's so cool. Jen Eric says, great tip, Carmen. Thank you.
You're welcome, Dan.
Elizabeth is so many people are asking really good questions, you guys. Thank you. Elizabeth's asking, how do you go from being a hobbyist to potentially a professional photographer? How important is social media in getting gigs?
Ooh,
that's a good one.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Elizabeth. Going from hobbyist to potentially that's such a loaded question because there's so much involved.
There's so much.
So I think my big piece of advice for that is when you're a hobbyist, you shoot whatever you want, whenever you want.
Yes.
And you shoot it because it brings you joy.
Yes.
when you're a professional photographer, you can also do that. However, you also have to think about the fact that you're running a business.
Mm-hmm.
And with a business comes accounting, marketing,
Yeah.
bookkeeping. And to be honest, as a professional photographer, I am taking photos maybe 10 to 20% of the time.
Mm-hmm. And the rest of it is admin,
Yes, admin.
communication with clients,
Yes, yes.
you know, post-production,
Negotiating, yeah.
negotiating, putting yourself out there.
Pre-production,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And I do feel like I am like living my dream, but it's also not easy.
Yeah.
And even someone who has been doing it for say 30 years and they're really established, you still have to do all of that. Maybe some of it
Mm-hmm.
now you get to outsource it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's you have to constantly be creating new work. If you're not getting commissioned to create new work, then you have
Yeah.
to be creating new work on your own that lets
Mm-hmm.
clients know what your like creative ideas are so that they can hire you for that. So
Yeah.
it's basically a never ending. You're running a business. So think
Yeah.
about whether you love photography but also want to run a business.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think,
Because that's kind of what it is.
yeah, that's a
For
lot of what
sure.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much to learn about the industry too, especially if you're, I mean, both for editorial and the commercial world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with the
Yeah.
commercial world, there's a lot of,
And I would have to add too that like kind of what we were talking about earlier, where it's like it's probably going to be good for you to figure out like what it is that you love doing the most as far as like what you like to capture. Um, and then really like from that second question, like how important is social media and getting gigs? It's like 100%, like that can bring all of your business alone, you know, like the work that you put out, clients will see, you know, and either will reach out or like, you know, use social media as a tool, to target clients or like to see what the kind of people that you want to work with. So
yeah, it's
um,
basically like it's a mix between your professional portfolio and
mm-hmm.
your kind of an
And your
insight.
brand.
Yeah, an insight into it's a little bit more casual than like your website, but it's still a
Yeah.
powerful way to show your work.
Yeah, totally. Love that. Cool. Great
Um,
questions, you guys.
yeah.
Robbie's asking, do you start a new library for each shoot or do you have one giant library with everything you've ever shot?
I have one giant library, although for this project or for this live session, I did create a new catalog. Um, but I just work off of one catalog for like all my shoots. And then what happens is when I archive a project, then it'll go gray here because it
Mm-hmm.
can no longer find that project on the original location.
Yes.
So then when I back it up to a drive, you can like right click and then it says update folder location. I think everything else will be grayed out, and then you
Mm-hmm.
point it to your external drive. So that's what
And
I
it'll
do.
like pick it. Okay.
Yeah, it'll
Nice.
reconnect everything, and then you can
Nice.
access it just like it was on your local drive.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that I mentioned yesterday was I go into the catalog settings here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have to make sure to do this before you start.
Start working.
Like right when you create a new catalog is automatic that um, creates that sidecar file so that all of
Yeah.
your like your ratings and your treatments, like all of your
Mm-hmm.
adjustments for every image, that they don't just live in the catalog. Because say you put a shoot on an external drive, but then your catalog is on your like on one computer, and then you go
Yes.
and you open that
Yes.
project on another computer where the catalog doesn't live, then you're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna have, I think as far as I know, you're gonna be opening like just the raw files and starting over.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
so when you have the XMP setting,
Wherever you go, it'll be able to
yeah, so I'll show you in
pull that
here.
up.
Then it creates these little files that
Yes.
Lightroom associates with the
Mm-hmm.
image. And then Arabella, you mentioned yesterday too, like when you download a
Yes.
preset, this is the
hmm
XMP is what comes with that.
That's like the format that's given to
hmm
you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's how I do
Super
it.
great tips. Thank you
That's
for
a
all the
good
questions, you
question,
guys.
Robbie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Elizabeth. Personal work is so important these days, for sure.
Yeah, because client work is always going to be like client work shows that you can execute a brief,
hmm
and it shows that you can do something that supports the brand messaging.
Yes.
But
Yes.
ultimately a client, I think, like clients who are creatives want to see what you can bring to the table, because they
hmm
can hire anyone to press the shutter,
Yes.
but they want to see like what, I guess, flavor you can
Your
add
creative mind. Yeah,
hmm
it's
to
almost
the
like
brief.
mhm. It's like they give you a brief. Here's like take what we are as a brand and like you put your own kind of spin on it. Like
Yeah.
that's still, you know, yeah, that still is that brand but with your creative mind.
hmm
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's how you stand out too, I think, is like
Yeah, for
by
sure.
showing what unique value as far as creative input you can bring, and that is proven through your personal work. Like
Mm,
that's what's going to differentiate you from other people that are creating things that they already see exist out there in the world.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Oh, these are so beautiful.
Thanks. Okay,
I
I'm just
love.
narrowing them down. So I hit G to go back to this grid, and then
Yes.
I click on this first one, hold shift down, and then click on the last one to select
Mhm.
that series, and then hit N to compare. Um, and then the one that is framed is the one that I'm rating. So you don't when you're in the grid view and you highlight multiple images, you can rate
Mhm.
them all by just pressing the number key. But then when you're in this compare view, you're only rating the one that has like the black square
Selected.
around it.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna do 2 for this one and this one. This one I just posted on Instagram yesterday. So, and then once I have narrowed it down a little bit further, then I can go up here and click this 2-star to show only the ones I've 2-starred,
mhm.
and then Command A to select all of them, and then
Okay.
N to compare them. These two are kind of similar. I'm gonna go with this one. So I'm gonna 3-star that, X this out so I can just look at what I have. And
Mm.
that's good. So let's 2-star. Oh, I'm just gonna 3-star all of these. 3.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the ones that we can start to edit.
Okay. Sounds good.
Let's go.
So fun.
I'm gonna hit D to go from this grid view, library view,
Mhm.
to the develop panel. And then we can start playing with these. Should I show how to create a new preset again for the people who
Ooh.
didn't?
Yeah, yeah, real quick. Just kind of
Okay.
show. Yeah, why not? For anybody that is new watching. Um yeah, it'll be good.
So I don't do a ton with white balance, and I actually typically shoot unless I'm in studio. If I'm walking around, then I shoot auto white balance because I'm shooting raw anyway, so I can always go in and adjust.
Right, right.
But if I'm shooting in studio, then I'll set it to one temperature and leave it at that. So for
Mhm.
now, because I play around with the like the hue and saturation a bunch, I'm gonna go back and adjust the white balance after.
Yeah.
But let's see, I can bring this up so you can see some
Mhm.
detail down here. And I don't touch the contrast because I tend to, in order to create that like softer, calmer look, I like
Yes.
things to be less contrasty,
Yeah,
as you'll
yeah.
see. I'm gonna bring down this highlight so I can maybe get some more detail in the sky.
Nice. Christy says great tips, and Elizabeth says she appreciated this video on Behance.
Oh, great.
Oh,
I'm
that's so
so happy to
nice.
hear that.
Julia has a quick question. What are your thoughts on optimizing the catalog?
I don't know what that
I don't know what she
involves.
means.
I feel like there's something where you can click like optimize catalog, but I actually have never done that before. So maybe
Oh,
someone else
maybe someone can
can,
explain. That'd be
or
great.
someone else who
Yeah.
knows. I apologize, Julia. I'm gonna look that up though.
Yeah. Mario also has a question. I think his question says, "Who are a few of your photographers?" But I think maybe he means who are a few of
Favorite?
your favorites.
Yeah. So one of my favorite photographers is a woman who I assisted for 2 years, and
Mm-hmm.
I would say that she was my mentor then, and I still
Mm-hmm.
keep in touch with her, although I haven't spoken
Aw.
to her for a while, but she's amazing. Her name is Colette DeBarros.
Okay.
Um,
Have to look
and
her
she
up.
shoots, yeah, she shoots a lot of fashion lifestyle stuff, but I learned so much when I was assisting her, learning how to direct talent
Yes.
and how to communicate with clients and work with them on set and how to
Mm.
light and how to work with natural light. So her work is really beautiful. She just has a way of capturing like all those wispy in between moments.
Yeah. Love that.
um, and then my other
Cool.
favorite photographer is a Japanese photographer. Her name
Mm-hmm.
is Rinko Kawauchi, and she is a fine art photographer. But her work is super like dreamy, abstract.
That's so cool.
It's the way that she photographs kind of like little details of everyday moments. For example, like a ripple in the water, or
Yeah.
a goldfish in a bowl, or I don't know. Her work is just really, really cool.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Great
Mm.
questions, you guys. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for the question.
Yeah. Christy has a question. What is your strategy about backing things up?
So I have, let's see. So any working projects I have on my laptop, as soon as I finish a shoot, I download the cards onto my laptop, and then I'll also create another copy on an external hard drive.
Mm.
So at any point in time, I make sure that I have at least two copies of the work somewhere.
Yeah.
Just because I've had hard drives fail, and if that happens and you don't have a second copy, then that's just like poof, right, gone.
Yeah. Gone.
And then I
Oof.
also use a service that backs up my work onto the cloud, and so
Mm.
I actually have two hard copies at any point in time, and then a copy on the cloud that is like
Nice.
not super easily accessible, but I know that if I needed it, I could download a zip of the whole job, or they can send me a drive. And then
Yeah.
also, Creative Cloud offers a ton of storage. And so if you wanted
Oh,
to, you
that's
can back
awesome.
up your raw files to Creative Cloud as well.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay. So I did a little bit of desaturation here. I increased the vibrance, and then I'm going to continue desaturating individual colors down here in the HSL panel. And then I like to
Awesome.
pull this curve up a little bit just to bring the overall brightness of the image up. So this is increasing the midtones. And then another keyboard shortcut I use very
Mm-hmm.
often is this backslash key, which
Mm-hmm.
allows you to see the image before and after.
Like what you've done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But for some reason, it's showing like the edit before. Actually, here you can also create a virtual copy.
Ooh.
I do this sometimes, which doesn't duplicate the raw file. It just creates a virtual copy of the image in your library. And you can see
Yes.
that through this little folded corner here. And then you'll see that also says 2 of 2. And what I do is sometimes if I want to try out two different
edits.
Yeah, two different edits, then I'll create a virtual copy, and then you can edit this virtual copy. See, it says copy 1 as though it is like an independent file.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is reset this. So this was the original. So then I can use the N key again and highlight them both and then compare them to see the difference between the two.
That looks so cool. That little light is so, that reflection
flare,
is so
right?
fun. Yeah.
And then I go in here to the red, green, and blue curves, and I create this like just a slight curve here, and it gives it a little contrast, but it also adjusts the color. So right now I just did the red curve, so it looks like more red in the midtones and the highlights, and then more cyan in the shadows. But then once I kind of do it across all of the channels, then it'll kind of neutralize.
Fix itself. Nice. Marsha's asking, what were those names again? I think it maybe the names of the photographers that you mentioned.
Oh yeah, Colette de Barros, Colettete, and then her last name is Debarros.
Okay.
And then the Japanese photographer is Rinko Kawauchi. Her name is a little bit tougher. It's Rinko. And then her last name is Kawauchi.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for saying that.
And then you can hit this little tab guy here to turn on and off the curve, just to see like the effect that the curve has on your image.
Awesome.
Yeah, so brightened everything up, and then adjusted the colors and the midtones and the shadows a little bit.
Super fun.
And then let's see, I'm gonna go in here and play with the hues a little bit. And I shoot on Nikon, so I find that Nikon cameras tend to run a little bit on the redder side, so I correct that in here. Nice. And this is just like, you can either use a slider or use the arrow keys to do minor adjustments. There's not much green happening here, but blue. You can see the blue in the building changing. So like if you slide it along either end, then you can see like where that color
what it does,
is appearing.
OMG.
I'm just gonna play with it. I know. But it's
That's
totally
a good way to see what it's affecting though.
But it's totally up to your own taste. Like if you wanted to make it super stylized, you could be like, oh, I'm gonna change these blues to purple.
Yeah, if you wanted to create like this psychedelic or like cool, you know, universe.
And then let's see. Not much of this happening. Okay, so saturation, I'm gonna bring it, there isn't much red in this image, but this is just my kind of like default, my default adjustments.
Nice. And it's so interesting because it's kind of subtle, but it's, you know, once you put it all together.
Yeah, like you can see a lot of the yellow in the sunlight here on the train and the left side of that building. So I'm just gonna bring it down a little bit. Not a lot of green. I default to bring down the saturation on the green, because especially when I'm shooting with like greenery in the background, I find that the natural green of the trees is too green for me. So I desaturate that a bunch and then change the hue.
Yeah. Wade is looking out for you. He's like, hi, Carmen, do you need to charge your laptop?
Yeah, sorry. Technical. I set everything up except for this. Thank you, Wade. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry, guys.
I know. Imagine if it just all of a sudden you went away.
I know. That'd
be so sad.
Really sad. Thanks, Wade. You saved us. Okay, and then
okay, how's this? Okay, cool. Yay, you're all saved.
I'm saved. We're gonna be okay, guys.
We're gonna be okay. Can't have a repeat of yesterday where
I know.
It's funny. For everyone who missed yesterday's stream, we like went past and we were like still working, like thinking that we were still alive. It was really funny, but it's fine. It's cool. Things happen, you know. Remote live streaming is tough, you guys. We're still getting the hang of it sometimes.
Oh, Wade says he would love to take credit for my power, but it was an observant YouTube viewer.
Ooh, thank you, YouTube viewer. Come on over to Behance though.
I just wanted
We would
all of
have.
you to. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh yeah, come over to Behance so that we can actually
Yes, we can
converse and we
chat.
can see your comments.
Yes, exactly.
I like how they were counting down my
I know,
power.
8%, 7%.
Just trying to keep you all on the edge early, you know?
Yeah. And keep you on your toes.
Mm-hmm.
The edge of your seat.
Yes. So I don't play with split toning much because
Okay.
I feel like actually what I did with the curves is like another form of split toning where I change the color in the highlights and the shadows, but using a curve instead of these sliders. So I'm going to skip the split toning. And then for sharpening, I actually reduced the sharpening. Lightroom defaults sharpening to 40%.
I know. I don't know why it does that. Is it just assume that you? I guess you could
think
change that. Maybe.
Maybe you could change the default.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can. And like when you shoot on your iPhone, when you shoot on any mobile device, I feel like it also auto sharpens.
Yeah.
Digital in general, in my opinion, is very sharp. Like it's more sharp than I would prefer it to be. So I reduced the sharpening.
Okay.
And then I don't need to deal with noise reduction because I did shoot at ISO 200, so there isn't much noise.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is a good example though.
Oh, yes.
This purple fringing.
Yes. What did you shoot this with?
You mean what lens?
Yes.
The Nikon 85-1.4 prime.
I find that some lenses kind of like give more fringing, more of that like, that purple halo or green halo more than others.
Yeah, so it might be, maybe sometimes it's zoom lenses. It's really the glass quality.
That's true.
So
yeah.
My 85 is an older lens. But not a problem because Lightroom has this remove chromatic aberration.
That's great.
You'll see that it did reduce it a little bit, and then we can go in and fine tune it later. So
yeah, that's where that like little manual panel is like super handy.
Yeah, so I always just click these two because the profile correction also will correct your perspective or like the distortion of the lens to some degree, and then the chromatic aberration as well.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone's talking about when they chopped us off.
When they what?
When they chopped us off.
Oh.
Yes, reverb mic, it happened. I'm sorry.
There we go.
I know Wade tried to warn us, but then I guess I was just, waiting for our moment, our scene.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. Don't feel bad. We, it happens.
So sweet. So let's see, enable. And then, so here, these are all like kind of the automatic settings, and then you can go into manual here.
Yeah.
And here is the chromatic aberration adjustments. So we're going to go in here and let's see. You do have to be careful though. So you can see it's like removing the purple. And then here, if your chromatic aberration is like a different hue, then you can slide this to kind of catch. See how before it was here and there's still some purple here. If you slide it to the right, then it catches that purple and then it disappears.
Nice.
So here's before and after.
Oh yeah, so much better.
That like purple. So that's pretty awesome. And then there's also, if you find any green, then you can do that here too.
Yeah.
And then stylistically, I know some people like to add vignetting, and it kind of brings your focus towards the center of the image. But personally, I don't add vignetting. In fact, if a lens is vignetting, I remove the vignetting. It's just a personal choice.
Preference. Yeah.
And
I think I'm the same way.
Yeah. I think I just tend to process in a way that feels, I guess, feels like film and then doesn't feel like it's process.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I feel like the vignetting also has like, sometimes that has like a very, I don't know, it's like a very, it feels a little old school to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, I mean, there are definitely scenarios where
Yes.
it
It
works.
makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or a certain subject or
But
style.
totally subjective. Like
Yes.
if it's your stylistic choice, like all the power to you.
Yeah. Um, Mario asks, do you have to edit differently when print versus when you post to Instagram? Yes. But by edit, I would say it would be like the color output.
And like export settings too, more than.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's not necessarily in the like treatment and adjustments or the photoshopping if I was doing that, like the retouching, but it's when, yeah, the export settings, the file format, and the color space, depending on what kind of printer you're printing on.
Right, right.
So typically Instagram, what you see on the screen is what you're going to see on your phone. So I don't do any special adjustments for Instagram. Although after I export it and I bring it on my phone, I kind of still do a little bit
A
of maybe
little tweaks.
saturation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's good.
Um,
Oh,
but
Elizabeth
then,
has to head out. Thank you. She
oh,
says, thanks for answering her questions.
you're
And you're
welcome,
very
Elizabeth.
insightful and have beautiful work. I love Chicago and you're bringing me back.
Oh,
That's so sweet. Thanks
so
for
glad you
joining us,
could join us.
Elizabeth. You can watch the replay later, for the rest of the stream. So don't worry.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, for printing, I typically export as a TIFF, so it's like the highest
Yes.
resolution. Yeah, and the resolution is another thing. For Instagram, it would be
Mm-hmm.
72 or 150 DPI, whereas print is at minimum, I think 250, or I do it at
Yeah, yeah.
300.
Do
Just
you end up
depends.
changing the like the color too, like to CMYK versus
Yeah, just
RGB?
depends on the printer.
Oh, right,
So,
that's true because
mhm.
everyone's different.
Yeah, so some printers print CMYK, and you can also, here, I'll just show that really quickly if I don't get a chance to later. So here, image format, for Instagram, it would be JPEG. For print, I
Right.
do TIFF. And then quality for web, I typically bring it down to 80, so just for size purposes. And then color space for web is sRGB. For print, I do Adobe RGB.
Mm-hmm.
And then CMYK, you can do that in Photoshop.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and this is another fun, an easy way to adjust an image in Lightroom is this transform tool. And the way that I use it is I don't typically use auto, but
Yeah.
sometimes I like to just click it and see what it does.
Test it out.
See
See
if
what
it,
see what
yeah, let's
happens.
just see what happens.
See if it guesses.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's pretty
that's
good.
actually pretty good.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I might just leave it there, but I wanted to show
Like how you can do it manually.
manually. Yeah, so there's this little circle here with this thing,
Ooh.
and if you click
Mm-hmm.
on it, then now you have this tool, and it has this loop where you can zoom in to see like exactly what you're putting it on. And what
Uh-huh.
I do is I find two vertical edges, and then you click and drag to extend this line, and then this is where the loop comes in handy because you can see like I'm a little bit off here, and drop that. And I try to do it towards like verticals towards the edges of the image.
Yes.
Um,
That makes sense.
oh, my port is loose. Okay, we're gonna be okay, guys. And here's another one. And then once you let go, it
Whoa.
clicks in. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever tried that. I might have to try that next time.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That is really
So
awesome.
you can tell Lightroom which edges you want to be parallel to the edge of the frame, and then it'll do that. And you can also do it to horizontal as
Horizontal.
well. Mm-hmm.
Are you only able to do like 2 points at a time, or is it like you can kind of like do more
Um,
than one, or
I think it's 2 points for each
okay.
line, and I think it's a maximum of 4 lines. But
Okay.
somebody
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, because
Yes. Let us know.
I think it'll stop you from
From
like here.
doing
I'm
more.
just gonna play with this, even though this is not supposed to be.
Right. Whoa.
And then I'm gonna try. I know. Weird.
Oh, weird.
Oh yeah, here. So the guide limit reached. The guide limit is
Yeah.
4. And then if
Oh, okay,
you
okay.
make a mistake, you can just click on it and then hit delete.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that little like poof.
I
Cute.
know. And then if
Um,
there's a sound effect that goes
oh, that's
very
cute.
satisfying.
Very cute, Lightroom. Very cute, Adobe. Hi, Nadia.
Hi, Nadia.
So fun. Oh, Mario has asked a little bit earlier. Do you ever use calibration settings for enhancing color?
No. Is that in here?
I don't
Oh no, down
know.
here. I think it's down here. Yes. No,
Oh,
I don't. I actually never touched this down here,
I
but
kind of don't either. I don't really know how it works.
I think that's a good question. This is
Yeah,
probably
if someone can let us know, that'd be cool.
I want to say this is to like correct your camera, but I don't know. Maybe
I don't know either.
Mario, give us some insight on what the calibration settings allow us to do.
Yeah, let us know.
Oh, bye, Christy.
Oh, bye, Christy. Watch the replay later.
Okay, I feel like this is at a good place.
That's super cool, yeah.
So
I love those colors. What a difference.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring down, let's see. Oh, and then another keyboard shortcut I had mentioned yesterday was this is like the quick develop panel where you can just click on these arrows to go down a third of a stop or up a third, and this is a full stop and back up. And then if you hold the shift key, it allows you to do more minor adjustments. So you can see the arrows change. And then now instead of a third of a stop, it's a sixth of a stop, which is pretty awesome that you don't have to go into the sliders and you can just like, because you can access these quick develop buttons from the library module.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So that looks pretty good. So I'm happy with this.
Yeah, that's super beautiful.
So let's try another. Oh, maybe this one.
Yes, I was actually gonna be like, can you do that one? That one's I think my favorite. It's so like architecturally and like visually beautiful.
Yeah, so this shot required a little bit of patience. We stood there for maybe 10 minutes waiting for traffic to pass because we didn't have, you know, the Art Institute booked out for our shoot or anything. And then this is Rosa. We made her walk up and down the stairs multiple times.
Oh my gosh. Poor thing. Was she winded after a while?
I'm sure she was.
Maybe she's active and she was like fine.
Yeah. Okay, so first
That's
thing
so fun.
Is
yes, Marsha says love that tone.
Thank you.
So pretty.
Oh, another thing with the white balance is like this is going to be tricky because this window is pouring in daylight, whereas the museum has these tungsten lights, which are really warm.
I know.
So we can do like a selective correction. But one thing that is kind of nifty is this eyedropper tool for the white balance. So instead of sliding it around, if you know the point that you want to be your white balanced source, then you can pick up this eyedropper and then pick the area that you want. So sometimes I'll just click around and see where it gets me to a spot where like, okay, that can work. And then I'll just do minor adjustments from there.
Yeah.
But
I always like to find like a good little like medium gray or something because I know sometimes that's like a really good kind of jumping off start.
Yeah.
Jumping off
point. I'm gonna do that and then we'll
that's cool.
See.
Oh, that's so pretty.
And now I can use the copy. So I'm going to select this image and then Shift Command C to copy the adjustment settings that I applied to that image. And usually I'll start adjusting a shoot on one image and then I'll just copy all of those to the subsequent images and then adjust exposure and white balance for those individual images. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to copy everything, not the transform, because those same vertical transformations aren't going to apply to this. Typically the crop and the transform, for me, they don't apply. If you're shooting on tripod, maybe then those would make sense, but for me, I'm moving around a lot, so it works against me
everything's
to
different.
to copy those things. I'm going to copy
Totally.
these, and then I'm going to hit Shift Command V, which pastes those settings, and you can already see it's
Oh my
like
gosh.
night and day. It's almost there, actually.
Wow. Yeah, it's so close. I
Um,
mean, it's so beautiful.
yeah.
Ooh, okay, you guys, we have about 30 minutes until we are doing portfolio reviews. So we already have a portfolio already selected, but make sure to go over to Discord to submit your portfolio so that in a future stream you can get it reviewed. But yeah, thanks you guys for tuning in with us. We're here with Carmen if you are joining now. She's working on a really fun photo editing or a project for Serial, right? Serial Mag?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually have a copy of their magazine on my desk right now.
Yay.
Yeah. So I might have seen your work already. So
Maybe.
this is really beautiful.
Thank you. So again, I'm using the transformation tool, and then I'm putting down these guides.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's
easy,
satisfying.
right? I know. And then, yeah, I mean, it's almost there. This bothers me, so I'm going to crop it out.
Okay.
And then another cool thing is it J? No, J. K. Now I'm just clicking everything. We're going to go here. View. I want to say tools. Oh, here. Crop guide overlay. What's O? You can select different crop guides. So I'm going to cycle through them. So right now I'm on the thirds one. You can see these white lines and that helps me compose the image when I'm cropping. I don't always follow it, but it's definitely helpful if you want to center something or put something on the thirds.
Yes.
Visual interest. So then if I hit the keyboard shortcut O, it'll switch.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this one's like shape center. I don't know.
Interesting.
This is
kind of fun.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting to like just try different ones out and then crop it according to the different overlays to see like, I don't know how that changes your image. What's it called? The golden spiral.
And kind of
golden
like
ratio.
It gives you like a different perspective or like different way of seeing what the best crop might be.
Yeah. That's like so see cool. For this one, actually this crop like this image works for this crop overlay because you can see how the staircase falls within this area.
Yeah, that's so unique. That's super cool.
It just helps with composition, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch back to the thirds one, which I like.
Yes.
And then I still see a little bit up here that's like not, and that's probably because I didn't do the horizontal. I just did the verticals. So let's also do the horizontal. I'm going to do it along this here.
Nice.
See, that's helping a bunch.
Yeah, definitely.
Go on this top edge.
There you go.
Put that back. There you go.
That looks so good.
Super straight.
Yes.
So that helps because this was shot on a 35mm, and that explains, you know, the distortion. Here, I'm going to create a virtual copy so we can compare.
Nice. Carl says, hello, you can also use the keystone tool to make subjects and portraits appear taller. Ooh.
Yes, that is a trick. If you're shooting with a wide angle lens and you have like the subject's feet or legs towards the bottom of the frame. I've seen influencers do this a lot, and then they keystone vertically so their legs look super long.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
So yeah, this is the before and after. It's crazy, right? No, this is not going
so good
into Photoshop at all.
Oh, that's amazing. And yeah, I mean, don't really even have to sometimes. I think that's kind of sometimes like really great about like shooting and like getting it right in camera too, so that you only really have to do like minor adjustments at that point once you take it over to Lightroom. Yeah, I love that. It looks beautiful.
And then the saturation of the warmth of the tungsten light on these rocks
Mm-hmm.
kind of bothers me because this background is so like nice and neutral.
Yeah.
Since I balanced out the daylight in here, this part doesn't bother me as much, but I feel like I can see more of the orange in here. So I'm gonna go in and use the adjustment brush
Nice.
to kind of paint these areas out.
Yeah. Desaturate them a bit.
Mm-hmm. So one option is to change the temperature. Another option is to, desaturate them too. So I'm going to try, editing is all about playing around and experimenting to whatever you want the result to be. And that can be reached many different ways. So my way is just the way that I do it. You can totally do it a different way that works for you.
Yeah, and sometimes, like you said, you have to experiment. You have to try it and see if it works.
And if it doesn't,
you just move on to the next.
Yeah, you just undo. And Lightroom is non-destructive, so it's like it's great. You can just undo or reset.
Oh, Wade says patience in photography is an art in and of itself. It's very true.
For sure, in all aspects of photography.
Yes.
I guess maybe not with your eye if you're shooting with your iPhone, but if you're waiting for the moment with your iPhone, then yes.
Yes, exactly. Maya says, love those earth tones.
Thank you.
Maria says, any cool photography podcasts you listen to?
Ooh.
I actually...
So there's an industry one more for professional photographers. It's called is it Ask an Art Producer?
Ooh.
Hello, Art Producer. It's hosted by Heather Elder. She's an agent. And oh man, now I want to find it, but I don't want to pull myself away. If you look up Heather Elder podcast, Heather, and then her last name is Elder. She hosts a podcast and she interviews art producers. But I think that's super niche because it's basically only really appeals to professional photographers who want to work in commercial photography because she's interviewing them about like, what do you look for in a photographer's website? What kind of promos stand out to you? Or how do you like to be marketed to? Or, what is
it's very specific.
Yeah. What is the industry landscape right now? Another podcast I love that is not specifically photography, but it's for all creatives and I recommend it to everybody. It's called the Creative Pep Talk and it's hosted by this guy. It's not his real name, but his name is Andy J. Pizza.
Andy J. Pizza.
Yeah, but he's amazing. His brand is amazing. He's an illustrator by trade, but he also has this incredible, dear art producer. Thank you, Polsta.
Ooh, thank you.
And
people are quick.
Yeah. And every episode he talks about how to expand your creativity, very actionable things, but also very like deep dives. He interviews other creatives on like their journey. He's very much about like exploring your creative journey and getting to a point where you're doing what you love. And if you're stuck, what can you do? It's amazing.
Those are all really great, like discussion points and topics and stuff. So I think that, that's awesome.
Yeah, but he interviews illustrators. He's interviewed Abby Jacobson, who's an amazing comedian, actress. But yeah, I love all of his episodes. They're awesome.
That's awesome. That's cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Oh, I can actually bring the exposure up to balance it out too. So I decreased the temperature and it's still feeling a little bit orange to me. So I'm going to try the saturation slider. That feels pretty good. I don't need it to be like totally black and white. Oops.
Yeah, that looks so good. Love it.
Huge difference.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, which one? Maybe this one? Let's see how this applies. I'm kind of interested to see. So let's see, local brush. I want to remove this local brush because I brushed that bottom half and I don't want to apply that temperature adjustment to this image. So I'm going to uncheck that. Everything else is good though. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to see what that's going to look like.
I know because the shadows are so dark. I haven't used the shadow slider yet. But look at what the highlight slider did. It brought back all that detail in the sky, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Sunset.
That's really beautiful.
So I'm adjusting my exposure and my highlights for the sky, and then I'm going to try and see what the shadows and black sliders can do for us here.
Ooh, there you go. We're starting to see some details.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yes, Mario, you did come with the good questions today. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Mario. It's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, creative pep talk. Awesome. Thank you, Marsha.
Thank you, Marsha.
That's awesome. Good. I love podcasts, so I'm always like trying to listen to whatever, especially while editing, I think for me personally, like a podcast makes me feel like get more focused because I'm like paying attention to what they're saying. Yeah. And so if it's like a creative podcast, then it's always like, ooh, I feel like I'm learning and also, I don't know, just picking up knowledge.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always challenged by Andy's podcasts.
That's awesome. I'll have to check it out.
So I'm going to use this vertical transform again on these lines.
I have a question for you, Carmen.
Yeah.
What is what's like your most favorite type of thing to photograph, and like what's your least favorite?
Favorite thing to photograph is environmental portraits, and particularly of artists in their spaces.
Yes.
I just have this fascination with any type of artist in general, because I think it's so interesting that everyone has their unique stories and experiences that they've been through, and that is what
comes through
like helps materialize the type of work that they do, what they want to speak on, what they've experienced, what they've seen, like all of that is a culmination of what they create. And that fascinates me. And then also just people's spaces. I think that I mean, every little thing in there they purchased or someone gave them, and then how they place it, where they place it. I don't know. It's just so interesting to me.
So interesting. I think as like photographers too, like, I don't know if you feel this way, Carmen, but like, I kind of have this like weird, like voyeuristic like feel when I'm photographing. Like I'm kind of nosy, and like I'll like get into spaces where like, especially if I'm shooting on the street or out, like I'll like be that rebel and like kind of get somewhere where I'm not supposed to be. Just to see like what, I don't know, just to be, to see what's out there, and it's just like fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely get that.
Yeah, and like being a photographer, having a camera is such an incredible tool, I guess, to get access.
Yes.
I mean, I've been in such, like when I first moved to Hong Kong, so I was working in Hong Kong. When I first transitioned from assisting to photographing, I was working in Hong Kong for 4 years, and the first assignments that I got hired for was for the local newspaper, and it was a weekly feature, and it was about people and their personal style. And so it was an environmental portrait in their home, but it was in front of their closet. Unfortunately, it was named out of my closet. Not unfortunately, but like it was just an interesting name that they.
That is an interesting name.
So anyway, I got let into people's,
personal lives
every week, their lives and their closets, and people were just like pulling stuff out of their closets for me.
Oh my gosh. And wait, that's so unique.
I know. Like, what other scenario would you just be like walking into a stranger's home and looking through their closet?
Yeah. That's so fascinating.
Yeah. Things like that.
Yeah.
Are definitely really fun as a photographer.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm right there with you too. It's like really just like how this person placed a certain thing, or like, almost like this like creative mess, and like capturing all of that. It's so fun.
Yeah. Wade thinks it's fascinating too. Marsha says when it says no trespassing, it's an invitation for her to go in.
That's I see it as a suggestion. You know what? It's better to ask for forgiveness later, you know, or what's that saying? I forget how people say it, but it's better to ask for forgiveness than, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Do something like do it first and ask for forgiveness later or
Yes,
something.
yes, yes, that.
Oh, and then my least favorite
Okay. I
thing to
love that there's this
photograph.
little moon. It's so
I
cute.
know. I also have a thing with the moon and the sky,
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
the
beautiful.
clouds, and yeah.
What were you gonna say? Oh, your least favorite?
Oh, least favorite. Um, Maybe like I was gonna say food and product, but I don't mind shooting
Or
that.
I guess maybe the question could be, what do you find the most challenging?
Oh, reflective surfaces.
Yeah, yeah, honestly.
Yeah, jewelry, reflective surfaces.
Hmm.
Um, mm, in the context of needing to photograph it for like a campaign or like
Hmm.
I guess product photography. I don't
Yeah,
know. There's a
yeah.
whole another like still life and reflective surfaces. I feel like that's a very niche specialty
Hmm.
because the skill required to light that stuff
Yeah,
is really,
it,
really
it's
high.
intense. Hmm.
Yeah. So I love photographing people because they move. And I don't know, it's just more interesting to me. But I totally see how it can be really meditative, or for people who don't like to direct people or deal with people, that
Yeah,
like still life would be their
still
jam
life.
because it's
Oh,
such like
yeah,
a problem solving exercise. And it's
totally.
so intricate and like
Hmm.
precise as far as lighting is concerned.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you brought that
Um,
up too, because it is a lot of problem solving. Versus I think when you're working with people, it's like, okay, well you're interacting with this person, you know, you with your camera, your lens, and you're shooting this person. You kind of get inspired as they move, as they, you know,
mhm.
do things. Whereas with product photography or still life, it's very much like, okay, you're, you know,
You're just like sitting there, like staring at the thing
yeah, you're
sitting.
like, how do I make this thing levitate
Yeah,
and also have all these things on top of it too? And like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. And you also can't be like, can you just move a little bit this way? You have to be like, okay,
yes,
I'm gonna get off of something and move it, and like,
yes,
yeah. Still life requires a team for sure. Oh,
yes,
Marcia said, ask for forgiveness, not permission. That is correct.
yes, motto of my life. Amax says, Carmen, you said you use a Nikon for most of the work. What is your current DSLR Nikon camera?
My current DSLR is the D810, and then I have a D700 from before that I also use as backup, and I also use the 700 still relatively often if I know that the job is only going to be used for web, especially for stuff
Yeah,
like ecom, on the
yeah,
product pages where
web
like,
banners or
yeah,
stuff.
like
Yeah,
if I'm photographing and I know that it's definitely not going to have like in my mind I rule out the possibility of like printing it or um the client doesn't need it for that purpose. Like there's no point shooting a 40 megapixel image for something
right,
that's going to
right.
live as like a 2000 pixel length at 72 dpi on the web.
Yeah, that makes so much
um
sense.
so it's just overkill for
Hmm.
me. So
Yeah,
so
I
I
think that's a
definitely.
like very common kind of misconception that you need kind of like the biggest, more complicated camera with the higher, you know, megapixels. But like, I mean, if really all your work is going on social media or on the web, it's kind of like, well, do you really need all that? You know?
Yeah, yeah. Like I didn't. I mean, I learned on what is it called, the crop sensor.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I learned on the Nikon D50.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh,
and then I didn't upgrade to full frame until I felt like I needed to.
yeah, yeah,
That's my thing. Like I don't.
yeah.
I'm not like a gearhead by any means.
I'm the same way too.
I love how this photo, because I shot this from like a not like a viewpoint, but it was up in a building that had like a observatory type thing.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, you
So I
look like
was,
very high up.
yeah. So I was shooting through glass, which is the explanation for the lack of contrast. Like you see here in the
Yeah.
histogram, there's nothing on the bottom end and very little on the top end.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to compensate for that by dragging this black down.
Oh yeah, that's already looking good.
Too much though. And then I'm going to fill in the shadow a little bit on these darker buildings. I love this image though, where like the sky meets the ocean and you can barely see because of the fog where it ends.
Yeah.
Gradients.
Love that. All right, you
Very
guys, 10 minutes until portfolio reviews.
Yay.
So get excited. We had we had a really cool portfolio that we reviewed yesterday. If you didn't get to watch yesterday's stream, it was like full of color and so fun and experimental, very pop art like. So I recommend watching yesterday's stream if you want to take a look at that. But yeah.
I'm just playing with the hue here of the blue because there's so much blue. There wasn't much blue in that first image that I copied it from, but here you can see like overall the tone of the whole image can change.
Yeah.
So I like to go a little bit on like greener side.
Nice.
And then let's see what this does.
And Nazar asked, how do I get my portfolio reviewed? Yeah, head over to Discord. There's that challenge tab right above the chat. And there's a whole community over there. So you can just submit your review or your portfolio. And I don't think it's necessarily only photography. I think you can, upload anything, as long as it's like creative work or, something that you want to show. I think you can do that. So people can review it over there too. Nice.
Oh, another thing is I like mouse over these, and then when you see that it's highlighted, instead of clicking on it and dragging, because I think sometimes that can be like if you're trying to do like small increments. I'll mouse over and then I use the arrow keys on my keyboard. That way I don't have to click in and click out. So that's like a quick way to do it, I think. Yeah, pretty happy with
so pretty. That's gorgeous.
Yeah. What should I go back to? Maybe the photoshopping retouching from yesterday?
Yeah, I would love to see that, and I'm sure the chat would too. I know that you've been in like Lightroom mostly, but yeah, we would love to see that. I think that's we were kind of getting into some like dodging and burning.
Yeah.
So I think that's you have it up already. Look at you.
So this is the image that I had from yesterday that we started working on. And I had set up this, let's see. Oop. So this was the original. I'm just going to I'll start over just in case for the people that weren't here yesterday.
Perfect.
Drop those.
Awesome.
Okay. So this is the original image that I ran through, I processed through Lightroom already, and I exported it as a TIFF, which gives me the highest resolution and the most information to work with when I'm retouching. I don't typically retouch, it's either TIFF or PSD, but I don't retouch on JPEGs because it just becomes very pixelated and you're not working. You want to work with as much information as possible and then export out to like smaller file sizes for whatever purposes you need.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So once I open the image, I hit Command J to duplicate that layer. And then I'm going to call this the heel layer.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to go to the healing brush. I'm going to hit J, which is the shortcut. Oh, it's down here. And
have you always used the healing brush like over the spot healing?
I kind of switch between the two depending on like what area I'm working on. Yeah. So
it's funny. It's interesting to see like there's definitely people who like use the healing brush tool only, or like then there's other
Mm,
people who use spot healing only. So it's
hmm.
fascinating.
Yeah. Um, so I'm on the, let's see. Yeah, I'm on the spot heal. And the difference between the spot heal and the healing is the spot heal, you press option and then the little circle turns into a target, and then you select the target area that you want to heal from. And then versus the spot healing just gathers
You just
information
click it from
mhm,
around.
from around the surrounding area that you're clicking
Mhm.
on. Um, I I alternate between the two, but I definitely prefer the spot heal because then I can be more precise about where it's pulling
Yeah,
information from.
that's a good point.
And then also when I'm retouching, I switch. So when I'm on Lightroom, I use a mouse or the trackpad, but with trackpad, I find that I tend to get like carpal tunnel. So I've been trying to use a mouse. And
Wait, hold
I
on. Am I hearing what? Wait, you said that you use the trackpad when you're on Lightroom?
sometimes, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I know. I only recently switched to using a mouse because my wrists were
Yeah.
feeling the pain.
But you know what? I was the same way because I think I was also using that and I was like, you know what? This is starting to hurt.
Yeah, and it's hard to be precise too. So now,
That's true. That's a good
and
point.
then when I'm in Photoshop, I use a tablet, which someone asked me yesterday which one I
Yes.
use, and I use this Wacom Intuos Pen Small. So the
Hmm.
back looks like this, and the
It's so
front is
cute
like
and
this, and
tiny.
it's very small. Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't
That's
use the
awesome.
Pro because, um, again, I don't buy more than I need, but I also travel quite a bit. So if I need to travel with this, then it's really easy. And
Hmm.
I don't need the features that the Pro has. Like I don't really find that I use like the pressure sensitivity and all that. I
Yeah.
just want to be able to be more precise, and like with the hand motion, it's easier than using and having to click on a mouse or
Yeah.
the trackpad.
Yeah. For sure. And it's not like you're like drawing or illustrating or doing any of that, like, kind of work
Yeah.
where you need that
Um,
pressure.
Oh, Palsta said, thanks for sharing how you work, Carmen. Learned a lot of new things in Lightroom
Oh,
today. Thanks, Palsta.
that's so cute. Marcia says, so TIFF is better than PSD as it has more information.
You know, I don't know
I don't
exactly. Does
know.
someone else know? I kind of I default to TIFF, but I know
Yeah.
like my partner retouches in PSD, I think.
I I like go back and forth, but I recently started sticking to PSD because TIFFs for some reason don't like the icon doesn't show up in the finder.
Oh, okay.
So like to me, I can see the PSDs like just like a little icon, and it's easier for me to you
Oh, like
know,
the preview, you mean?
like the preview. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah. Otherwise, then I'd have to kind of like go over it and open it up and see it. But
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. Maybe anyone else in the chat might have some thoughts on that. Um, that's a good point. I don't
So,
know.
I don't know either.
Great question, Marcia. You stumped us.
Oh, thank you, Robbie and Anna. I think they might be leaving.
Oh,
And then
thank you
another
guys.
keyboard shortcut I use in Photoshop is Command plus and minus to zoom in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the space bar, when you hold it down, it turns your tool into a hand, and then you can drag around so that you don't
Ooh,
have to
okay.
zoom out
Yeah.
and then zoom in.
Nice.
Another thing is right now I'm at 100%. I don't tend to retouch like all up in here because in reality, no one's going to notice, like, especially for web, you're only going to see it this
Yes.
big, and then for print, you'll see it at 100%. So there's no, in my opinion, I don't go in further than 100%. And actually, like, I bounce in and out of like being at 100% and then zooming out just to see, like, otherwise I think you get too like hyper focused on one area and you
Yeah.
forget about like the big picture.
Yeah, good call. Good point.
So I'm on this.
Cool.
I'm just removing a couple
Yeah.
things. Her skin's already amazing,
I
so
know.
really doesn't need that much more. I'm just gonna do a couple quick.
Yes. Awesome.
Okay. And then I also have a shortcut Command, comma, and that turns the layer on and off. So you can quickly see going back and forth between the original work and what you've done so far. And then for dodging and burning, I create 2 curve layers. And I'm going to call this dodge.
Nice.
And burn is pulling the curve down, and dodge is pulling the curve up. So this is kind of like the idea of dodging is brightening and then burning is darkening.
But in a non-destructive way, which is great.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So you're just essentially applying this curve layer and masking in brightening and darkening onto your image. So right now it's the full mask is being applied. So I'm going to press X to invert the foreground and the background, and then Command delete. Oh, sorry, other way around. Command delete to fill that mask, and then click on the burn mask. Command delete to fill that mask. And now the layers are still on, but nothing is masked in because it's all black. So now I'm going to take my brush tool. Shortcut is B. And if something, this happens to me sometimes where I press the tool and then something weird is happening and I realize, oh, it's cycled through like a different version, like of the other tools, and the one I want to be on is this one. So
yeah. All right, Carmen, I think we're ready to do some portfolio reviews.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So let's get on over there. We're gonna be right back. All right, guys, we are in the Space Center. Normally we'd have these like really cool helmets if we were in the Adobe SF Studio, but
got it.
You know, just pretend that we have a helmet and we're taking it off, you know. Thank you guys for submitting your portfolios. We were reviewing a really awesome portfolio yesterday, and I'm excited to see the one for today. So this one is from Selena Pan, and we'll just like dive right in. Carmen, you can see my screen all right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is her website, and we have like this little portfolio section, and it seems like she has like all these sections for different types of photography that she does. So graduation, engagement and wedding, notable mentions, creative, and fashion and event. She just kind of does it all. Is there any particular one that you wanted to dive into first?
Let's do, what was the first one? Portfolio.
Okay, so this is a small collective of recent work. Okay. So this is where we start here. I think we can zoom in. Yeah, perfect.
Nice.
Okay. Pretty.
Yeah.
Fun little portraits.
I like how she, there's like that foreground element, the blurriness on the bottom of the frame to create more layers.
Yeah. Kind of places her like right in the middle. That's kind of like leading your eye into where she's at. Yeah.
And probably if that wasn't there, then you'd see all like the stalks of the sunflower, which might be distracting. So it's cool that she's kind of she's like framed. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Super cool. Those like sunflowers are really big. Whoa. Yeah, I love this, and I like how she's like looking back. Yeah, super fun. I think maybe just like play around with some more color. It's like looking a little hot right here. I don't know if that's something that maybe like with like a little like local or kind of like specific adjustment would be good to just kind of bring those highlights down just a tad.
Yeah,
this is nice. Okay, here's this other one. Ooh, I really like this little like glitchy thing happening over here.
I wonder how, maybe she had something in front of her lens.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she did, yeah. Because it kind of is all the way, like all on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
I think Jan's leaving.
Oh, thanks, Jan.
Thanks, Jan. Thank you, Marcia.
So sweet. Yeah, I think this is awesome, and I like this. It seems like this person likes a lot of like nature kind of backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. I like how soft the lighting is.
Mm-hmm. And it's really sharp too, like very like focused, you know. Yeah, so it's cool. I wonder what they use for this. It's kind of like effect here, or if they did it in post. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, super cool. Oh, this is super fun. I love the softness.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, okay, I don't know if you know that trick, but like if you put like kind of something over your lens and then put like Vaseline or some sort of like texture in front of your lens, it like makes it all like soft and kind of hazy.
I was gonna say, I was like, oh yeah, Vaseline's much better, but in my mind I was like, I've seen someone just like wipe the grease off of their nose and put it on their iPhone.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of gross, but
it
probably
gross,
works.
but you know what? Whatever you got to do, you know?
Yeah. Some call it gross, some call it being resourceful.
Exactly. This is cool. I would love to see, I think maybe just like, I don't know, some of the colors even a little bit more, I don't know, playing with more color, or you know, because I kind of see like there seems to be like two types of lighting colors, like, you know, it's like really warm up here, but then like very kind of more cool, you know, so like I don't know if maybe like balancing that out, or like adding more is this they get up there. So I would just love to see, to know like their style meant that they do. Okay, emotions.
Oh yeah,
I just noticed that. Like, that kind of looks a little funky. Like, I don't mind these two people that are back here, but I think this kind of looks a little creepy. And I love it.
Uncomfortable.
Posed or uncomfortable. Yeah. I would say maybe just like potentially focusing on like removing some of the distractions, but you know, as a suggestion. These like trash cans are kind of like, why?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but
getting that. Yeah, exactly. Airy. And probably like maybe some of them are focused on the subject.
Or just physically move to learn the, or any
is like leave everything in kind of thing, or whatever.
At least less is more. Like I'm always trying to find more open space and less distraction. Whereas some people, I think their work, especially street photographers, is like you are where you are. And I think like street photography is amazing because you're shooting at f8. You don't even have the advantage of like a shallow depth of field.
Yes.
But you're still creating really interesting compositions that are really busy, but you're, you know, it's like I think there's so many more elements involved where your eye is still being drawn but not distracted.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I actually want to head over to maybe like one of the fashion or creative kind of sections, I think. Ooh, actually that was kind of fun. I love this kind of.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Well, maybe this is just drawn to this.
That wall is really cool. And the shadows that are falling on the,
you know, kind of like the darks. I wonder if like maybe like some of it might be losing a little bit of detail. But I really love the color in this. I'm so drawn to like warm.
Also a very cool model.
Yeah, seriously. Let's see. Ooh, okay.
I love the shadows.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't know, kind of like what you were talking about yesterday, where like you kind of have like a light kind of hitting like a plant or some sort of like you know thing to
cast
create
a shadow.
Like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
but I love these like neutral tones too. I'd be curious to see if like maybe like a little bit brighter or something where like I'm wondering if it's like falling like just like a tiny bit like too I don't know. I don't want to say like flat, but
Yeah, I'm not
would
seeing
love to
any
see a little bit.
detail in her
Yeah.
hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like brightening that up a little bit. Yeah, that's cool. Good job, Selena. It's like fun stuff. I think the more that you continue to work on stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see. I like want to get out, but it's not like letting me. I want to see like with others. Ooh, okay. Ooh, okay. This is fun.
There's an X on the top right.
Oh, okay. Let me move my little window. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's from that same session. That's cool. I
really
this
like
little
the
like which one?
that one. The stop sign one. That was in
Ooh,
her.
yes. That was like the main
Yeah.
like header.
Yeah, this image stood out to me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like she
like
lit
nighttime?
this, right?
Yeah, she must have. This is cool. And I love that little like shimmer on her cheek.
Mm-hmm.
So fun. Yeah, I would just like continue to play with like color and like I think for sure like bringing up those darks to kind of show some more detail.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of seems like as far as like looking at the whole portfolio, like, you know, I think it's there might be still figuring out their style or like what kind of direction they want to take it in, but I can definitely see like the direction of like even just like like the models and like posing. It's like, you know, trying to get into that more little editorial vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it looks like Selena recently graduated and she's photographing her friends, which is awesome. I think that's like the best place to start is to photograph the people around you because they're willing and patient and they're not gonna be mad if you're like, oh, let me just figure out how to, you know, fix my camera
like you're
settings.
figuring out your stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I think like she's definitely experimenting, which is awesome. She's not letting herself get stuck in one particular like you know, location or pose.
You know,
it's
all about experimentation in the beginning.
She's playing with like different in-camera effects and lighting and I mean, I think like this is I would say like my portfolio when I started was very similar.
Yeah, it's probably the same for me, honestly. Well, great job, Selena. This is awesome. Thank you for sharing your portfolio with us. I would just continue, like keep going and keep practicing and finding your style. The more that you do it, the more you'll get honed in on what it is that you like. And then from there on, like, you know, once you figure out what it is that you really like, then you can really kind of curate your portfolio a little bit more. Yeah. Great job, Selena. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for submitting your portfolios. So we'll get back to Carmen. We have probably 7 minutes left, maybe, or 6 minutes, something like that. I know we're like keeping track now.
So I don't get cut off again. And we say a proper goodbye.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. And thanks so much for, you know, joining in the chat. And all your questions and your comments. Everyone was in there for sure. Thank you. All right.
Yes. Any other questions? 6 more minutes. I think I saw a question earlier. Oh, Gulcool said, can you tell me how to bright any particular without using mask, especially for cheeks? Is it possible using blending or any other trick? How to brighten without using a mask? I mean, just using the dodge tool, but that would be destructive.
Yeah. So it's as long as that's like what you're intending and you're like fine with not being able to go back.
Yeah. What's the question again? Without using a mask.
Brighten any particular area without using mask, maybe, especially for cheeks.
Yeah, especially if it's a particular area, definitely a mask is the way to go, whether it's with the
Yeah, you have
curve
more
or
control.
levels or brightness or exposure, like any of these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mask equals control and being able to go back on what you did.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have this dodge layer and this burn layer, and then I'm using my brush tool at the softest setting, and brush size will depend on the area that you're lightening, and then opacity is 3, so you're just lightly brushing the application of that curve onto the image. Yeah. So for example, I'm just going to zoom out and do like broader strokes here, and then we can go in and
nice.
Oh, I'm on the burn. But there's always the undo. So let's go to the dodge.
I know that history panel is the best.
Oh yeah, I have it set. What do you have it set on now?
Right? Oh my gosh, I would have to look at it. I think I have it at like 150 or 200.
Yeah. Wait, where is it?
I think it's in preferences. Yeah. Yes.
And then workspace, was it?
Something like that, or it's in one of those history log. No. Maybe performance or scratch discs. Performance.
Oh yeah, here.
There you go.
Performance history states 100.
I have to have it at like a pretty large amount, only because since I'm working on product, you know, there's all these like little fine clicks and so it's
That's definitely a lifesaver for sure.
But that's why masks are important, right? Because then you can literally just brush it in and out and it's fine. Yes.
So I did a few strokes, and so I'm going to use Command, comma. So that was a little too much. So I'm going to hit X to reverse the color of my brush back to black, and then go back and reverse some of that. And then actually I'm going to switch my opacity to 2. Another keyboard shortcut is to just press 0, 2, rather than going up here and sliding around. Or, so this is, I hit 0, 3, 0, 2. Sometimes it goes to 20, so you have to keep an eye on that. So I'm going to continue, go back to the white. Brush here.
I have a question for you, Carmen. Just from like senior work, like it's obvious that like you have a really good like directing, like you do a really good job of directing your models. Like what are some of your tips for getting your model to do what you want, or like, you know, posing? Like do you usually have like posing ideas beforehand, or what's that process like?
I mean, this is something that definitely I became more comfortable with the more I photograph people, which I think is like there's no gold like ticket like here's what you do to like make it happen, you know. I think that was definitely frustrating to me when I first started, was like, what advice can you give me to like get better or do better? And then Colette,
kind of
she was
like you just have to do
it.
Do it.
Yeah. Which is annoying if you're impatient or you really want to grow, but that's really the only way to do it. And so I guess one piece of advice is that you're the photographer, you're holding the camera, the model is there and trusts you because you're holding the camera, and they're looking to you for direction. And if they're not experienced in front of camera, then they're going to likely feel uncomfortable or not know what to do with themselves. So actually it works to your advantage that they want to be told what to do, because they don't know what they look like. You're the only one that can see from behind the camera.
Yeah, totally.
So they're looking to you for direction. So you have, you know, you're in the position to give them direction. So for me, I before shoots, if it's a fashion shoot or something, then I'll have a lot of visual references. And if you don't feel super confident about giving the model direction, you can show them visual references so that they can visually see what you're trying to achieve.
So true. That's a great tip.
And then as far as
thank you.
As far as directing, I like to be really specific. So I actually use my hand as a guide, like, you know, move your face a little bit to the left, this way, keep going. Okay, right there.
Yeah.
So otherwise, people tend to just go like this. And for me, that's too much because I'm quite precise too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that helps.
No, that's lovely. I think that's great. And I like that you were like, you kind of just have to do it. I mean, that makes sense. Cool. All right. Well, we are wrapping up this day 2 of this editing stream with Carmen Chan. Thank you so much for being here and showing us all of your knowledge and tips and all that fun stuff. Thank you, Carmen.
It was so fun. Thank you for hosting.
I know we'll have to have you back because we didn't finish, but
I know.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and stick around because we have an awesome day ahead of you. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.